Hey everybody, my name's Jared Mazurek. I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. Um, Doing another fireside chat here. Finally, actually fireside with what's left of my fire. It's always the intent, but kids had other plans, but they're finally asleep. So I'm seizing the moment. Um, but basically I've been getting some Facebook messages, emails, things like that asking about some allegations, conspiracy that's out there regarding the Voyageurs Wolf Project and whether or not we are fundraising for them. So I thought I would address that today. Hopefully, get rid of any concerns that any of you may have. Um, and I apologize that it's been a while that since I've done one of these fireside chats. I've been kind of shifting my focus to getting this new podcast going. So I've been doing most of my public outreach in that format. So good to get back to this, and with that, we'll jump into it here. Share my screen. All right. So I was struggling to come up with a title for this. And all I could come up with is, am I really still wasting my time on this? So I think we know where this is going. Another conspiracy theory that people have latched onto that has no basis in reality, and we'll jump into it. But before we do that, I mentioned I've been working a lot, doing a lot of interviews and stuff on a new podcast. This is the information for that podcast. It's called Down the Barrel with Jimmy and Dino. You can find it, I think, anywhere that you find podcasts. Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. If they have podcasts, they probably have this. It's been a lot of fun. We've covered anything from predator management to food plots to bear hunting. A lot of really great, interesting topics. We even had Voyageurs Wolf Project on to talk a little bit about the work they do. So a lot of different perspectives, different opinions have been on this podcast, and I highly recommend you check it out. We've got quite a few listeners at this point, and I think you'll enjoy it. So Down the Barrel, check it out. But with that, we'll jump into the most recent controversy. So basically, we'll go back to our favorite deer farmer here, Steve Porter. So he is apparently a fan of Down the Barrel because he listened to a podcast where we interviewed Tom Gable from Voyageurs Wolf Project. Talked about a lot of things: wolves, deer, the differences of opinions between Voyageurs and MDHA, as well as a number of other groups. It was an interesting conversation, but throughout that conversation, I mentioned that I had written a letter of support for a grant project that Tom and another researcher from the U of M is pursuing. And basically, our friend Steve here is claiming that MDHA is fundraising for the Voyageurs Wolf Project. We're trying to raise funds for them to do wolf research and to protect wolves, which could not be further from the truth. All I did was write a letter of support for a research project that is specifically studying the impact that the gray wolf has on deer populations and trying to determine if habitat type, habitat quality has any impact on that as well. Because, like it or not, wolves are here to stay. They're gonna be in the state of Minnesota. So we need to learn how to best manage our other wildlife species along with wolves and our habitat to ensure that the impact that wolves have doesn't continue to be too much of an impact, too much of a detrimental impact on specifically our white-tailed deer herd. So this is not Voyageurs Wolf Project. This is two researchers from the University of Minnesota, one of which happens to be I think his title is project lead, research lead, something like that, of Voyageurs Wolf Project. But this grant would not go to Voyageurs. It would go to University of Minnesota for these two researchers to conduct this study. Again, to study the impact of gray wolves on our white-tailed deer herd and try to determine how habitat plays into that dynamic, which I think would be very beneficial information for us to have as we lobby for the return of a wolf hunt and wolf trapping to try to manage that population as best we can. So we're not fundraising for Voyageurs Wolf Project. I wrote a letter of support that said, I think it'd be great to have this information. I go online and I see people talking about how the average wolf kills 10 deer a year. And then I see people saying the average wolf kills 100 deer a year. It'd be great to really have a better idea of, within the state of Minnesota, within certain areas, within certain habitat types, what is that number specifically? What is this impact? How can we better measure and keep track of that to make informed management decisions? So I wrote that letter of support, hoping that we can get that information out of this. But I can tell you 100% we are not fundraising for Voyageurs Wolf Project. And then kind of on the right side of the screen here, you'll see two little rectangular screenshots of the Voyageurs Wolf Project page, showing who their funding partners are. And then on the very right, under the Arc'teryx logo there, you'll see a few organizations listed, one of which is the Sturgeon River chapter of the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. Now, Steve shared these thinking that that was proof that MDHA is funding Voyageurs Wolf Project. We are not. One of our chapters made a one-time donation a number of years ago to support their research, because again, MDHA believes in having accurate and current data from which to make informed management decisions. Now Steve's trying to claim that that's me donating money to Voyageurs Wolf Project, and without naming names, because I don't believe in the level of personal attacks that I so fondly receive. But that donation was actually a former officer of the Sturgeon River chapter of MDHA, who no longer holds any officer position within our organization. But they are the one that pursued that donation. They're the ones that requested the funds, that wanted them to go to Voyageurs Wolf Project to help support, I believe it was to support 2 or 3 seasonal staff to help conduct their research during the summer months. Well, that individual that is no longer an officer of MDHA is a founding board member of Hunters for Hunters. So if anyone is trying to tell you that we are funding Voyageurs Wolf Project, they're lying to you. It's actually a board member of Hunters for Hunters that made that donation. I hope that clears that up. We're not funding Voyageurs Wolf Project. Simply support scientific research and having quality, sound data to help us lobby for a wolf hunt. The other part of this is, there's that comment there in front of the picture. That's the wolf lover. That's the head of the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. He's announced recently that he will be working on doing fundraising for more wolf research The wolf lovers in the US love it when they get the volunteers in the deer hunting groups to pay for more radio collars and research. Again, we're not doing that. We wrote a letter of support to collect data to get a better understanding of how wolves impact deer so that we can use that to lobby for a wolf hunt in the state of Minnesota. Hopefully that's crystal clear. And then I just wanted to address this little picture at the bottom of your screen that Steve loves to use. This is the hippie they hired to run the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. That is me. That's me. That's me probably 16, 17 years and 60 pounds ago. But yeah, he loves to throw this picture out there whenever he gets the chance. I was maybe 17, maybe 18 at the time that this picture was taken. I wish I still looked and felt that good. People love this picture. There's all kinds of great comments about how that guy's never, I think one I saw was that guy's never put on a pair of boots, never been in the woods. Just it's comical. Steve's met me many times. He knows I don't look like that anymore. But yeah, that is me in high school. So I think we all were kids once. So yeah, that was me in high school. I have more pictures of me as a child. I've got them right here. Here's me. I was probably a squirt then, playing for the yellow team, Mound West Tonka, driving around in my dad's rusty F-150. And look, this might blow your mind. I was once a baby too. And what blows my mind and what scares me to death is I honestly don't know that if Steve were to use that baby picture of mine, adorable, by the way, right? I think some of you might actually believe that the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association hired a baby as their executive director. I mean, that's the level of lies that are coming from him. So, Steve, these pictures are out there now. Feel free to use these in any posts about me. So yeah, I once went to high school. I had long hair. I wore a Hawaiian shirt. I still rock a Hawaiian shirt every once in a while. They're comfy. I love them. I was once a little squirt hockey player. I was even once a baby. I also have more pictures of me that Steve would really not ever share because I do some pretty cool things. These are all pretty recent photos, actually. But yeah, I mean, coyotes, pike, deer, I rock climb, turkey. I think that was a coyote hunt up in the upper right there. I fly fish, pheasant hunting, big bull elk that I got back in 2018, 19 when I'm still out in Colorado, which that picture's been shared around and apparently I found it or I posed with a buddy's elk. Must have been a pretty good buddy because it's right there. So I shot it. Yeah, another rock climbing, and then I was up in a deer, my little climber stand there. I definitely hunt. I definitely fish. I can't believe I have to get on here and defend myself to people I've never met, but they won't stop sending me Facebook messages or emails, and there it is, guys. Tear them apart. Feel free to make fun of that little buck in that photo. Tasted great. So I hope that clears things up. We are not funding Voyageurs Wolf Project. We simply wrote a letter of support. I am a hunter. I am an outdoorsman. I was a backpacking guide for a number of years, all over the Western US, Canadian Rockies, doing all kinds of really, really fun and amazing things. If I get the chance, I'm out hunting, I'm out scouting, I'm out working on habitat. So please stop buying into this conspiracy. It's really just a butthurt deer farmer with a grudge telling you lies, and you guys love to eat it up. So I think that's my talk for tonight. Hope you all have a great day, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I think my contact information came up there, but you can find me on the website, mndeerhunters.com. All right. Great night.